NFL.com makes a historic prediction when it comes to Caleb Williams and what he could achieve in the 2025 season. And on today's episode, I'm going to talk about why I really don't give a shit. We're going to talk a little bit about that, plus Jalen Johnson's comments on the new Bears coaching staff, and dive into the mailbag. We're going to get into all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host, Derek Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. And we're going to go ahead and get into this. NFL.com had a prediction in regards to Caleb Williams where they wrote this. They predicted that Caleb Williams would throw for 4,500 yards and 35 touchdowns in the 2025 season, going on to say this. Williams won't just reach that barrier, he'll blow it away, especially when considering all the advantages he has working for him now. All the improved supporting cast will make life much easier on him, and the numbers will bear that out. And while this is a great prediction for Caleb Williams, right? They go on to talk about Luther Burden and Colston Loveland and what they're going to be bringing to the Chicago Bears team. And of course, the coaching staff is a huge part that plays into why a lot of people have confidence in what the Chicago Bears can be in this season. And make no mistake about that, that's great to hear. But frankly, I'm going to be 100% honest here. I don't care anymore about any preseason predictions. You know, I want the numbers that Caleb Williams or any other Bears player to get to be in result to playing well, winning football games, and the numbers are going to come. I think too much that as football fans, we build so much of our argument around what numbers arbitrarily a player gets to. Right? We talked about that a little bit when it came to Montez Sweat and things like that, right? We talked about it a couple of years ago before Jalen Johnson signed his extension. Now, so many people looked at his value via what that interception number was. Now, he did turn around and go out and have the best interception career numbers of his career in 2023 with 4. He dropped down to 2 the following year, right? But it comes down to this. I've been a Bears fan my whole entire life. I've been on this planet for 38 years, and I've been a Bears fan for the entirety of that 38 years. And so because of that, it doesn't matter anymore. Like, there have been so many years that the Bears have been predicted to do X, Y, Z, that we should have had a great season on paper, all of this stuff, but it doesn't matter, right? It's great that, and I think Caleb is going to have amazing numbers this year. But the thing that I'm more worried about as a Bears fan this year is how do we get there? It's the numbers. It's the wins. That's the number that matters the most to me, is the win column numbers. And I think there are a lot of Bears fans that would agree with that if they're being 100% honest. It's going to be great to see Caleb Williams have an amazing season. And I think under Ben Johnson with this staff, that's going to be a great thing to see, right? But I want the numbers to be as a result to what we're seeing on the football field, and that's being success. Caleb Williams had statistically the best rookie season of a Chicago Bears quarterback ever. But did we walk away from that season feeling good? Most Bears fans will tell you, no, the hell they did not. And so therefore, I want this season to be about the wins, the progress that we're seeing on the football field, what Caleb Williams is doing as far as better decision-making, what he's doing as far as the chemistry that he has with his wide receivers, what is he doing as far as being more accurate, right? How clean do we keep his jersey as far as having an offensive line that keeps him out of the dirt more than what they did last year? That's what I care more about than hearing about some arbitrary number. And let me not say, calling it arbitrary may be a little bit rough of a statement to make there, but I think that Caleb Williams go out there and have a great statistical number, but if the Bears don't win, how good do you feel about that? Maybe you feel good if you're the type of person that has a narrative that you want to push about what Caleb Williams can be individually, but I don't even think Caleb would tell you that individual numbers are where he's at right now. People want to lose. Caleb lost the most that he probably ever had in his career last year while getting beat the fuck up. And I tell you, if he can stay off the ground and also have a winning season, even if that means having just another, let's just say he takes a minor leap and goes up to 3,700 yards. Are you going to look at that as more of a worse year if we get more wins, right? If that's the case, you're going to look at that as some disappointment. I get it. These writers, these articles, they're going to do what they have to do. And right now is the time to write that. And making that type of statement is going to get in. But as a Bears fan that actually watches this team, that's actually invested in this team, that actually cares about this team, what I want to see more is growth. What I just want to see more than some number on the stat sheet is I want to see that win column stuff go up. I want to see the progression that we're making as a team. I want to see a team that actually looks like it's bought into what the coaching staff has. I want to see a team that actually looks like it's executing and that it belongs in the NFC North by the way that they perform. That's what I want to see here, right? I want to see those things go up for the Chicago Bears. There's a lot of people that could put up stats and their team doesn't look great, right? I want to see for once a team that looks like an actual NFL team and a franchise that looks like it's going somewhere as a franchise. I don't care if Caleb Williams gets 4,000 yards, DJ Moore and Rome each have 1,100 yards receiving, but yet we walk away from the season with 6 wins, 7 wins. I don't care. Like, yeah, technically 7 wins would be a step up from what we won last year, but that it wouldn't feel as good for me if Caleb threw for 3,600 yards and we end up getting 8-10 wins. I feel a lot better than that in a season if we win 6 games and he throws for 4,000 yards. And so it just comes down to this for me, and this is just my own personal thing, and just looking at all this and this preseason talk around the Bears, I for once want to be talking about a Bears team that looks like it's moving up as a team, right? And I get that. Some of that's going to come through the execution that we have. That's going to come through the performance that we have. But I want to see a team that looks like they're having fun out there together, a team that actually looks like they're connected, a team that actually holds themselves to a standard. Those are things that I want to see more this year than I care about any number of stats, any number in the stat sheet. I care. And I guess, again, if a player gets great stats and we're winning, I'm not going to poo-poo on that, right? But I want the things and the accolades that come be via winning football games. That's what I want to see here. Too often, and I think that comes down to every franchise goes through this. I think every fan base goes through this. We make so much about what the number is on the stat sheet that we forget about the thing that matters the most, and that's winning. That's what we do here. Some people call it winning bias. And I'm like, well, how do you have a bias to winning when the whole point of what we're here to do is we're here to win football games? That's what I want to see from this Bears team. Can we win football games consistently? And that comes through the standard that you set, that comes through how you prepare, that comes through how you're connected as a team, and that comes through what you hold yourself to. And a lot of that goes to this coaching staff as well. And it feels like we finally have that coaching staff that is instilling that in the Chicago Bears team. And I feel really good about that. But, again, great predictions for Caleb. And I hope for one Caleb hits that. But more than that, I hope that Caleb Williams hits whatever win total that he wants to see for this team. That's what I hope to happen here. But in talking about the coaching staff, Tyreek Stevenson talked a little bit about what defensive back coach Al Harris is bringing to this team. And he said this, just by some of the little pointers with how you line up, how you look at the stance, how you look at the splits, and just pretty much understanding the system more than just the player. And I feel like he's teaching all of that and it's kind of rubbing off. Understanding that certain players run certain routes and certain ones run certain concepts. So instead of playing the man, you're playing the concept. And I love hearing this from Tyreek Stevenson. Tyreek, who went through his trial by fire last year, making his mistake after the Hail Mary and things like that. And that fiasco, I think that can show a lot about the quality of a man, right? How do you deal with that level of adversity that was coming at you hard? Because, listen, you disappointed. You disappointed in how you performed with this team. And hearing that this coaching staff is teaching players to look at concepts, to look at trends, right? To look at habits. I think that's more than just playing for what you think the play is. When you can learn a player's habit and when you're watching that in the film room and you're learning what habits players have. Do they lean left? Do they lean right? When they dip their shoulder, what do they like to do, right? How do they like to get to the outside, right? What type of moves do they have? That's where you're starting to think about things in an advanced level. And if this coaching staff is really getting these players on that pathway to where they're learning things at that level and performing and thinking about things at that level, guess what, guys? That's where this team is really going to start stepping up. And that's where we're going to see this football team, the Chicago Bears, actually start having more success against teams. And hopefully that reverberates through the entirety of the roster as you want to start thinking at a higher level. And great coaching staffs. Good coaching staffs can do it sometimes too. But great coaching staffs have you not only ready for the habits of the player, but also how it fits in the concepts and where you have your strengths at and your advantages against the player. And that's the type of thing that I'm talking about, right? That's the type of growth that I want to see from this team. We have a lot of individually talented players on this team, but I really want to see how the cohesion level between how these players play together. That's what I want to see this season for the Chicago Bears. And if we can get that, great, because I think that's what's going to help propel us to being that team that everybody wants us to be. All Bears fans wants us to be, and that's a winning team that's operating. Somebody said in the comment section yesterday, that they feel like this Bears team can be top 10 in offense and top 10 in defense. And I tell you what, that would be great if we can do that. If that would be amazing. That would be one of the first times that we see the offense and the defense operating at a high level at the same time. And that is where you start winning football games. That is where you start building a culture and an identity. And if we finally have the coaching staff that can bring that here to the Chicago Bears, I tell you what, the future looks a lot brighter than what we've had over the last couple of coaching staffs. So let's hope that that's going to be the case. But with that said, today is Friday. That means it is Mailbag Day. Let's go ahead and get into these voicemails, man. This first one that we have, this one's from Tonio.
Hey, it's Bobby C. Dub. Tonio calling in. And simple question regarding the 3 second rounders we got. What is the time frame that you expect the other rookies in front of them to sign their rookie deals? And do you expect how many of them do you expect to get the fully guaranteed bonus that the other 2 rookies in front of them that signed their rookie deal contract for the guaranteed bonus money? I don't know if all 3 of our second rounders will get it. I'm thinking maybe Ozzie and Luther for sure would get it, but the question, because we have 3 second round picks, would Brian Poles guarantee all 3 of those players with the for their bonus? I mean, it would be cool to see, but how much longer do you think that's going to hold up? And who do you think would be the person to sign their contract that wouldn't be the fully guaranteed? Other than that, thanks for your opinion. Let us see you guys shine. I know the channel is growing bigger and bigger. Shout out to everybody. Shot town up and go down.
Listen, I think that too much is being made over the second round draft picks and their contracts. I know that you asked me, like, who do I think is going to get the bonus and who do you think? I don't really care about any of that, to be honest with you. Like, and no offense to your question, like, it's a great question to ask, but I think that we're just seeing a rookies now have a better understanding of how contracts and money works. And I think that is in part because of the NIL, right? Like, part of when you sign your signing day for a team is you're looking at the NIL packages. So I think now between the mixture of agents and the players being more aware of their money is why you're starting to see some of this happen. I don't think this is going to be a story more than a week into training camp. I think that we'll have all these guys sign. They'll get their signing bonus. I don't know how much of it they get guaranteed or whatnot. But I think that this just shows a better awareness of young men understanding the business of football. How many of our greats have we gone back and heard they didn't understand X in their contracts? They didn't understand Y in their contracts. And so because of that, they signed deals that maybe weren't necessarily the best for them in the long run. I think that we're seeing now a pathway to where people, because of NIL money and NIL deals and those type of things, they're coming into the league more aware. And then thus their agents are trying to get them the most that they can back. And I, for one, I don't feel like that's a negative at all. I think that that's a positive because I think you're going to have a generation of players that are just smarter when it comes to the business of football and the business of contracts. And thus, that's going to reverberate through not only the NFL contracts, but sponsorship deals, those type of things, right? Their shoe deals, those type of things. You're going to start seeing that. And I think it's just something that you're going to see more and more of because players are coming now into the NFL smarter and more aware of business. And I don't think that that's ever a negative. I know that for some people that want to see players just play, right, and just take what's given them, it can make it a little bit more difficult like we're seeing now as far as negotiating contracts. But I think that's going to wind up the best for the business. And when you have players that are happy and aware, you can worry less about that and just focus on the football field, which is what I think they're going to be able to have here. All right, let's get into the next voicemail, man. This one's from Thaddeus.
Man, I'm calling, man, right now, man, because I'm kind of a little bit concerned about all our second round picks and why they haven't signed, man. And then I came to this conclusion. Well, I looked up something and it went across my news feed. It talked about breaking news. You know, colleges now have a $20.5 million annual budget to pay athletes after judge approved $2.7 billion settlement. So basically these boys don't have to come to the NFL. They could actually go back to college. Like, say, for instance, I'm not saying this is the case, but let's just say Luther didn't really want to come to the Bears. He wasn't feeling Chicago. What if he just go back to college? I mean, he's still going to get paid, but I know it's not going to look good on him, and I doubt it if he going to, that he would jeopardize the bag like that, man. But it's just a thought, man, because now, the college kids are going to get paid even more. So pretty much, are the college kids going to have more control, or the NFL boys going to be like, wait a minute, we still run this shit? You know what I'm saying? I'm just wondering how this going to play out in the future because, it's, man, you giving a kid, man, you ain't giving them piece of dominoes and none of that shit, man. They coming out with $1 million. I mean, you giving an 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid $1 million and shit. He don't really have to go to the NFL, really, man, because he can, if he invests his money right, he got a business. I mean, that's generational wealth, man. I mean, what y'all think, man? Bear down, man. I just hope that everything. I know Poe's gonna get the contract signed, but with the college game changing now, man, that money, man, they're going to get a lot of money now. And the federal judge just approved it, so they're going to get more money now. More than Caleb got. Who knows, man, when he was in college. But I'm going to get back. Well, bet out, man. Y'all keep this going, man, because I listen to y'all every day. All right, peace.
All right, so that is, I get what you're getting at, and that judgment was great, but you can't have players that go back to college. Like, once you're in the draft, you're in the draft. You have that certain cutoff time because of NCAA rules and NFL rules. Once you stay in the draft, you're in the draft. So you're not going to see players like go through a draft process and then look at the contract and be like, oh, no, I'm going back to college. That's not going to be allowable. Now, I do think that this is great that judgment went through because now you're going to get players that are getting more money in college, so thus they're going to stay in college longer. And I do think that that's something you're going to see. We're seeing a little bit of that in the NBA draft, right? We're seeing players that were slated to be second-round picks that realize, hey, I could probably make more money on NIL money this season, so let me go back in. But I think that also plays into players getting more seasoning, getting more coaching, being better ready, right? So many players fall by the wayside in the NFL because they came out too early or they could have used another season of really learning and perfecting their craft and what they do well before coming to the NFL or the NBA. I think that we're going to see, much like I said in the last one, just a generation of players that are better prepared as well as smarter as far as the business aspect of things. And thus, hopefully, you see players have longer careers. Don't fall by the wayside. Get the true development snaps, the time period, whatever, minutes in basketball that they need to really develop and be more ready for the professional game. I think that's what we're going to. So I don't think the judgment is like this thing where you need to worry about players after they're drafted going back to NCAA. That's not where you're gonna that's not what's gonna happen. But you are gonna see players more aware now in the draft process and trying to figure out, okay, this is where people are thinking I'm gonna go. I think it's best for me to go to college. And you want players to be able to make decisions that's best for them and not have to worry about money. For so many generations, it came down to players had to go to the NFL because they needed to make money as quick as possible for their family. Now, maybe their careers fizzled out, but hey, they got that $2-3 million over their first 4 years, and they were able to support their family that way. Then they went into businesses. Now you're going to see players be able, and players should have been getting paid for generations. It's been generations, hundreds of years, really, when you look at it, that colleges have made more off the backs of players that players made themselves. And I, for one, am glad that that's starting to change in all sports. So I think that's a good thing. But as far as your initial concern on like them going back to college after the draft, that's not really a thing. That's not really a thing there. But okay, let's get into this next one, man. Next one's from Keys.
Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy Keys, man, on this lovely Monday. Hope all is well with you and yours. And first off, I want to say, fellas, happy Father's Day. Hope you guys enjoyed the day, got to relax. But with that, let's get into it. So now everybody's watched the Doomsday podcast with Matt Eberflus. I didn't fully watch it all yet. But, of course, the one scene that's been talked about is him talking about the daily coach film and all that stuff. Being a former athlete myself and playing ball, right, there is a chance for you to watch film with a coach. But there's also gaps in there where coaches sometimes, they'll watch it with you and they'll direct it. You still need guidance as a player. On one end, yes, I do believe Eberflus said that that the coaches watch film. On the other hand, I'm going to believe Caleb because, hey, some coaches, they're going to implement or imply that these players know how to watch film. This is a franchise rookie quarterback that you had, Eberflus. And whoever side is right or wrong, I'm just going to go at it like this. Both parts have some kind of thing where we can probably all agree to disagree. But don't make it like Caleb ain't lying or nothing like that, bro. Everybody is it's your truth, his truth, and then God knows the truth. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest with you, I don't put shit past Eberflus per se. As you see, as evidence, the proof is in the pudding. Your ass got fired because if that boy was getting better and everything and that nature like that, and you watch the film with him and all that stuff like that, it could have been a lot of corrections that could have been made and save your season and save your job. Hey, let's talk about the facts that we do know. He didn't call a timeout when there was 30 seconds left to help his ass. You didn't bother to. You let your ego probably get in the way of getting Cliff Kingsbury, who would have been the perfect offensive coordinator for Caleb in his first year. And he probably still have a job. And, you know, you knew your job was on the line, bro. You're supposed to do everything to save it. Everything can't fall on one person like that, man. And that I ain't finna agree with on the instance. And I can't wait because I think this is a little feud that's been brewing between the Cowboys and the Bears, where you see C.D. Lamb going at it, I think, with Jalen Johnson. Now you have the former coach going at it with the franchise quarterback. And I hope to God we beat the dog shit out the Cowboys in week 3. Let me know what you guys think. As always, Chi-Town up, bear down, fuck Eberflus.
Not gonna lie to you, bro. I don't care what Matt Eberflus has to say anymore. Like, Matt Eberflus has a right to have his version of his story and to tell his truth. Caleb got to speak out on it. Caleb has the right to do that. Matt Eberflus has the right to come out and tell his version of the truth as well. But when it all comes down to it, as you said, you're not the head coach of the Chicago Bears. Why? Because you weren't good enough to get it done. Period, point blank. Nothing else that needs to be said, nothing else that needs to be argued about at that point. Matt Eberflus wasn't good enough to get it done. If you were good enough to get it done, you would still be a head coach somewhere, even if it wasn't here. You know what? You're now back over there doing what you're probably best at doing because you weren't good enough to be a head coach. And that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. But that's now the place that Matt Eberflus is at, and that's where he should be. And like I said, I'm not too mad at Matt Eberflus telling his side of the story. I don't believe it. I don't believe shit that Matt Eberflus said because he's a gaslighter and an idiot. But he deserves his right to tell his version of the truth. And take that for what you will. We're going to move on, and it's going to be what it's going to be. And that's all I can say on that one. And, yeah, let's move on. Matt Eberflus is not the head coach because he wasn't good enough to cut it. And that's just it. All right, let's get into the last voicemail for the day. This one's from Darius.
What's going on, guys? Darius from Dallas, man. I'm just sitting here listening to Hayes, and something kind of dawned on me, man, when you were talking about, how all of our players are reacting differently to this regime because they feel like they're actually are being coached. And that tells me that the team is buying in. And I think if we're really being honest, the last time we had a Chicago Bears team that we felt like was bought all the way in, I mean, the defense, the offense, the special teams, all just one unit. Man, we got to go back to the Lovie Smith days before we can think of the last time we saw a whole team buy in. And it seems, and we let Lovie go, because his one, I guess, flaw from how they saw it is he could never figure out how to get the offense together. So ever since then, man, we've been chasing that next big offensive guru to come in. We've been looking for our next McVay, our next Kyle Shanahan, what have you, ever since Lovie. And what that has done is that has caused us to hire a lot of first-time head coaches. Well, when you got a bunch of first-time head coaches, you don't get that leadership. You don't get that experience. You don't get guys that know how to coach a team into buying all the way in. You just don't. And we have not had one since Lovie. So that goes to show you why, over the past, I would say, decade, we just played some uninspiring football, man, because we had uninspiring coaches. We had guys that are first-time coaches that get in there and they're a deer in headlights. Chicago's not an easy city to coach in. It's just not. It takes a certain type of guy to do that. And I think Ben Johnson's got the personality to do that. And I think we might have finally hit on a guy that has both. A guy that has the offensive prowess or mindset that we need, but he's also been behind a great leader like Dan Campbell for the past couple of years, and he's seen what it takes to motivate a group of men to come out there and give their all and put it out on the field. So he basically was in head coach training, leadership training, and I can't think of a better person to be under other than Dan Campbell, because Hell, I watch his clips on YouTube, and I want to walk through a wall for him. So I think that we finally have found the mixture of both. And I think now because of that, man, we're going to see some inspiring football on this field, and I can confidently say this is going to be a good season for us, man. But let me know what y'all think. Check this out, bear down.
Lovie was the last great Chicago Bears head coach. And there are going to be some people that, of course, want to argue with me or using that word great, but by great, I mean that he was the last one that really felt like he commanded respect in the locker room. He commanded that respect. He commanded a certain standard. Nagy, Eberflus, they didn't bring those things. Lovie Smith brought that. And hopefully this coaching staff is going to be the next one that we can say that brought that. Lovie, like you said, could not get the offense together at the level that he needed to be in to keep his job. That's perfectly fine. It is what it is. But Lovie was the last head coach that we really had that felt like a leader of men. And that's why I think you've seen so many people say that over this coaching search before it happened, that whatever happened is that the Bears wanted a leader of men. They got that now. They got that in Ben Johnson. And it seems like they got a lot of those guys. Eric Bieniemy, Dennis Allen, Dan Rouchard. Seems like they got a lot of leaders in here. And hopefully that goes a far way in correcting what's been so wrong with the Chicago Bears for years. So let's hope that that's going to be the thing there and that we're going to be in a much better spot. So let's hope that that's the case. I do think that, Ben Johnson and these guys have shown a lot, and they've really gotten these players to buy in, it seems like, already. Now let's get through the training camp period. Let's see what we look like when we go through a little adversity as far as in the season. And it seems like we got us something. We got us something that we can really build off finally. And let's hope that that continues for the Chicago Bears. But that's my time for today, guys. Make sure you guys are following us at Chi Bear Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. That's thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like we like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, we'll bear down. I love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.